Welcome back to the second part of our series on Alvar Aalto. In this exciting installment, we'll continue to explore the early architectural milestones that shaped Aalto's brilliant legacy in Turku. Dive with us into the fascinating world of modern architecture and discover how Aalto's innovative visions transformed the architectural landscape of the 20th century. Don't miss this thrilling continuation of our journey through the life and work of one of the most influential architects of all time. Shortly after, he wins a very important competition to design a large tuberculosis sanatorium. At that time, tuberculosis was a significant concern, and sanatoriums were one of the state's major priorities. This project takes place in Paimio, and he approaches it with absolute dedication. Stay tuned to learn more about this pivotal project in Aalto's career. Through his newfound functional creed, which he had just discovered, he embraces functionality. As you can see, it's a white building. It's a building with luminous ship railings, open as, on the other hand, tuberculosis patients demanded. They had to spend a long time on the terraces, soaking up the sun and fresh air. These large terraces characterize the building, allowing patients to bring out their own beds so they can receive the essential sunlight needed to heal from their illnesses. Aalto also designs a plethora of furniture pieces for the sanatorium. He designs many, some of which feature Eno in one of those terraces of the Paimio Sanatorium, but he also designs this Paimio chair, a chair that would become legendary and that we can still buy today in any furniture store. Why? Because it was so fantastic. They're made of laminated wood, of which there was plenty in Finland, and laminating was a process they had just experimented with to make furniture. They used the same modern forms as others had done, like Le Corbusier or Mies, with bicycle tubes. He was going to do it with laminated wood, giving the furniture a sensuality and a tactile proximity completely different from those cold steel tubes of functional furniture. Paimio experimented with many things, designing every detail, every handle, every piece of furniture, every closure. And from Paimio, much of his later work would emerge. The third major building that closes this initial phase of Aalto's modernity is a library he designed in Bipuri. He also won a competition for this library. In fact, he won it with a completely classical project. But fortunately for him, or perhaps for us as well, it was not built. It took many years, and he later created a second design, much later, and by then, he had fully embraced the modern period. The final design features an entirely anonymous exterior, although it is white and horizontal as demanded by the new architecture. Here he is, wearing baggy pants in that grand glass-walled lobby that also speaks of the clarity of light, not just as a hygienic principle like in Paimio, but also as a willful clarity of modern architecture, which makes glass and steel the two essential elements of its expression. And so, this image, which has already become classic, of Alvar Aalto in the library of Bipuri, introduces what would be that building where suddenly, just like in Paimio, his modern building, he had introduced the unexpected and topographic arrangement of building elements. Here, he introduces things that are also completely unheard of in functional architecture. These are large wooden waves designed with an acoustic purpose. In the grand halls, they serve to ensure that the speaker's voice could reach every corner. As you can see, the room is quite Spartan in its furnishings. The room is furnished solely with stools, but these stools were also designed by him. He described them as like my columns, because with this leg, I can do everything, just like the Greeks did with a column, all kinds of architectures. With this leg, I can create an entire family of furniture. This family of stools was so successful that he founded Artec to commercialize them. It's a company that still exists and continues to sell Aalto's furniture nearly 100 years later. This is the acoustic covering of that room, the extraordinary wooden carpet that gives the room a special warmth, a special sense of communion and closeness, because the room was very elongated, very uncomfortable, but thanks to that canopy, it acquired another condition, and the furniture, of course, of the stackable stools as demanded by modernity. With these three works, Aalto becomes fulminantly a great modern architect. He becomes a member of the Siam, meets all of them, travels throughout Europe. They invite him everywhere. When the year 32, the exhibition in New York is made of the international style, that which you will remember that only Mies was invited, right? Well, in one corner I have hung between two thieves, as he said, in that exhibition of 32, Aalto is already present, and he is present with the Turun Sanomat building, with the newspaper building from Turku. He is a recognized architect, and is an architect recognized who has made works as extraordinary as these three that we are seeing. He is going to then experience a singular transition in his life and in his career. Of course, the library of Vipuri has suffered a lot. I always show photos from that era and architects' drawings because if I were to show Vipuri's current photos, everyone would feel saddened. It was located in the part of Finland known as Karelia, which was annexed by Russia. Right now, Vipuri is not in Finland, it's in Russia, and the Russians let it deteriorate. Visiting it now is a melancholic expedition. There are always campaigns to raise funds to try to do something with Vipuri, but unfortunately, being in Russia, it has lost the freshness that these early images depict. Those images of Vipuri just inaugurated, with that well of books and those extraordinary skylights for uniform light, evoke a sense of nostalgia. Those skylights, he used to say, were like a cliff with 1,000 suns. The top part was the lookout post in the library, and then there was this sort of well that he would use so many times and that would be imitated so much. And the 1,000 suns, the 1,000 skylights that create that homogeneous light, but the young, already mature Aalto. He thought he could take one step further, and in 1933 he moved to Helsinki, the capital, which was where the major commissions were and where one had to be. He had been in the former capital, Turku, and now he relocated his office to Helsinki, and certainly a house was built. For him and Ino, and for the two children they already had at that time, a boy and a girl, where, as you can see, modern dogmas began to crack. It's lined with wood. Notice this terrace, how it has a railing made of unprocessed logs. Here you have Aalto with his daughter leaning on this railing of logs. Is this modern? This is Aalto saying, yes, I can be modern by introducing another world. Other references to nature, different from the mechanical, are closer to the sensual and the tactile. In that lakeside world where he had grown up, he produces many objects, designs furniture, designs the entire Savoy restaurant. And for the Savoy, he creates a glass that today all architects have on their table, the Savoy glass. He draws it by sketching this wonderful wave-like shape, reminiscent of a lake wave. And it has become almost a symbol of Finland and also a symbol of Alvar Aalto of the wave. And he does something more. He becomes friends with Mayor Armstrong, who was the daughter of the largest timber magnate in Finland, a major industrialist who owned the forests and exploited them for timber and paper. Mayor was married to Harry Gullikson and was arguably the most powerful and culturally refined couple in Finland. They commissioned this young friend, already popular in the world and who had exhibited at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, to build them a house. This house would be made with that new organic architecture, which had been introduced like a virus into the dry and mechanical functionalism of early Aalto. That house is called Villa Mairea, named after Mayor, the owner of the house. In fact, it is built on a large estate that belonged to her grandparents and parents. There were family houses of 3 generations on that huge estate. They built a holiday home there and commissioned it to Aalto, telling him there was no budget to do as he pleased. He had the privilege of building a house without a budget for extremely sophisticated and wealthy clients. His relationship with Mairea was particularly intimate, and when you visit the Aalto Foundation archives in Helsinki, you'll see it. The plans for the Villa Mairea are as numerous as those for all his previous work. He makes thousands of plans, designs everything, and ultimately builds this villa, which is a mix of things. On one hand, there are floor plans that are almost references to Cubism, to the French Cubism of that time. But at the same time, he mixes the functional with the organic. There's an evocation of the entire Finnish forest world, and it's full of references to Japan. Japan, which at that time fascinated him, had also become a friend with the Japanese ambassador and read many books about Japan. Like Frank Lloyd Wright, Japan entered Aalto's life in a tempestuous way, and here you can see Villa Mairea, an extraordinary place. A magical place where nothing is rational, everything is emotional. Every decision is made based on sensitivity. But what is it fundamentally? We need so many elements to support a wooden staircase. No, it's simply the desire to bring the forest into the house. Trying to make this house vibrate with the materials of the forest and the surrounding nature, the house, of course, is a grand bourgeois vacation home. But it's a house where so much happens, and in the end, it's almost summarized in these kinds of gestures that they, let's say, frame the same as in that first photo of Aalto Dandy that we started with. He had a bas-relief with those bundled wooden aces because there are 3 or 4 things he always repeats. One is that kind of bundled wooden aces, the others are the fans, and finally, the waves. These 3 elements of the fan, the waves, and the bundled aces build an Aalto architecture and make it different from any other. And they are present there. Here you have them, larger, right? This is almost what serves as an abbreviation, just like Le Corbusier had made an abbreviation of his work, which were 2 concrete plans and 6 bare pillars. This is the abbreviation of Aalto's work. Villa Mairea is full of details, unexpected encounters, insights. This is clearly reminiscent of Japanese design, it's true. One of the rooftops with this unexpected railing, with those stones that indeed seem to be taken from a Japanese garden. Here is Mare Gulison on one of the 5 chimneys of the house. This one is in the garden, and as you can see, it almost evokes a fragment of a ruin or a cave. This is the sauna, because logically, any Finnish house needs its sauna. This is the magical sauna next to the kidney-shaped pool that they had in front, which was used by the guests of the Gulliksen marriage to take a sauna at the time. Mairea Gulliksen and Alvar Aalto's Villa Mairea was an extraordinary work, one of the icons of modern architecture. However, as you have seen, it lacks a single image. It's not like Falling Water, with its large planes floating over the stream saying, "Here it is." How to summarize it in one image? You can't. You have to experience it, live it. It's a house that cannot be summed up in a single image. Yet, when Aalto created it, he was obsessed with Falling Water, which had just been completed. In fact, when they were looking for a location for the house, the first thing he told Mairea was, "Find a stream. We need a stream to put the house on." He also wanted to make his own Falling Water, to place his house over a stream. In the end, the estate didn't have a stream suitable enough, and they had to build it as it should be, on the grassy clearings in the Finnish forest. But it became an extraordinary success. Why? Because suddenly, Alvar Aalto proposed a different path to modern architecture. A path he called humanistic. Others have called romantic or organic, but it doesn't matter. It's a path of reform that brought architecture closer to our everyday experience, to what is enjoyable, to how we live well. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through the life and work of Alvar Aalto. We hope you enjoyed discovering the details of his most iconic projects and how he transformed modern architecture with his humanistic and organic approach. What did you think of this chapter? Is there any aspect that particularly caught your attention? Remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming episodes, and leave your comments to share your impressions, questions, or suggestions. Your participation is essential to us. See you in the next chapter to continue exploring the legacy of great architects. Until next time.